The Selected Cuelist window shows you all the information about the currently selected cue list. It's in this window that you can renumber cues, name cues, change the trigger type, and change fade and delay times, all of which are covered in detail in additional videos. To make any changes in the cue list, you must have edit mode on. Touch edit mode to toggle it on or off. To change the cue list name, touch the name box and enter the new name. Press enter to complete the command. Renumber must be turned on to renumber cues, and is covered in greater detail in an additional video. The Options button opens the Cue List Options window, which will be covered in an additional video. Two important ideas as we move ahead are an active cue and a selected cue. The active cue is the cue you're currently sitting in, and is indicated by a double arrow. The selected cue is the last cue row you've touched, and is indicated by a dark cyan highlight. The selected cue does not output values unless it happens to be the active cue as well. Follow values, follow cue, and follow grid are all on by default. Follow values and follow cues pertain to the information that will be displayed in the cue list values window. With follow values on, the cue list values window will display the values for the currently selected cue. Turning follow values off will lock the cue list values window at the current view. Advancing cues and selecting other cues will not change the values display. Follow cue tells the cue list to make the active cues selected and displayed on go commands. So if you've selected Q4 and you trigger go from Q1 to Q2, the selected cue jumps to Q2 and is displayed in the values window. With follow cue off, you can select any cue to view, and advancing cues will not change the selection. Follow grid is relevant when viewing a cue list that has more cues than can be currently seen in the selected cue list window. With follow grid on, if you scroll down the cue list and make an edit, as soon as you complete the command, the view will jump back to the current cue. It'll also jump back if you advance a cue. This can be inconvenient if you want to rename or renumber a series of cues not in the window with the currently active cue. With follow grid off, the window will only change if you manually scroll it. The Add Macro button will add a macro to the currently selected cue. Macros are covered in detail in an additional video. Touching Insert Link adds a link cue after the currently selected cue. Touch the cue box to enter the cue to link to, and the fade box to determine the number of times you want the link to cycle. Entering a minus sign will make the link infinite. The Mark Toggle box is used to mark individual cues. Touch Mark Toggle to toggle mark on or off for the currently selected cue. Marking is covered in greater detail in an additional video. Touching Pre-Select for Next Go lets you choose the next cue for the Go command. If you touch Pre-Select for Next Go and touch Q3, a red box appears around the cue number. And pressing Go will jump the cue list to the cue you selected using the time of the cue. You can also jump to a specific cue by pressing Q, then the number you want, and enter to complete the command. All fixture parameters are assigned a default fade mode, either snap or linear fade. The fade mode box allows you to override those defaults by the cue. Touch the box and choose your fade mode to complete the command. Path allows you to alter the way in which the cue fade executes. By default, cues execute in a linear mode, and the values are changed evenly across the fade time. Accelerate will fade more slowly in the beginning and more rapidly at the end. Break will fade more rapidly at the beginning and more slowly at the end. Accelerate plus break combines the two, and shake will modulate the values throughout the fade. The comment column is used for entering any notes you might want. Touch the comment box, enter your text, and press enter to complete the command.